what do you all think it takes to create a sustainable Arabic language program?
To me, the number one non-negotiable is the teacher has to be great. And I don't think they need to be certified walking in the door. Like, we've done a lot of onboarding. In fact, all the teachers I have working in New Haven now went through our accelerated route to certification program, and we supported them through that, because the truth is, if a school is going to cut a program in any language, what matters most is if the program is a strong teacher and the kids love it and there's success in what the kids are learning, that will be the last program to get cut.
But back to the personality of the teacher, I'm someone who believes if the students loves you as a person, they will listen to you. You cannot fake it with the high school student. You cannot. Either you are all in, you are all out.
Well, I'm a qualified teacher. There's a lot of students in my district who are interested, but my district isn't interested, or they're closed.
But I would say to those people, the first thing you have to figure out is, if you feel that they're closed to starting an Arabic program, you have to figure out why. And the thing we always used to talk about with teachers in terms of advocacy was, it's 20% of your job. We're not math. You're not going to have a job for sure no matter what. If you're like an elementary language especially, but any language really, you have to do advocacy as part of your job, and that's just how it is. But the worst thing possible would be for a kid to have learned Arabic K to 8 or 6 through 8, and then go to a high school teacher and have the high school teacher say that was wrong, because then we lose the programs. And so I do think there's like a balance there. If you have a articulation that you need to do, where there needs to be, some sort of agreement between the teachers of what the, common vocabulary everyone's going to know. Everyone struggles with high school to college articulation. And I think one of the things that has the potential to solve it is the seal of biliteracy, because that if a student comes to you with the seal of biliteracy in Arabic, that means that they have been tested in listening, speaking, reading, and writing by a standardized test.
And Arabic is a critical language. What do I mean by a critical language? It's just one of the top 5 or 6 languages with the United Nations. So imagine that's for a parent. Imagine your son or daughter learn this critical language. How many doors will open to you? And to the principal, like, how many other families you're going to attract to your school?
I think some of the key things you need to do are understand the politics of the district. So most Board of Education or local school board meetings are televised. You can watch those. You can figure out who might be interested in international discussions.
Marhaba.
Marhaba.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to this episode of the All Things Arabic podcast. My name is Ustaza Caroline, and today I'm going to be hosting a conversation on building sustainable Arabic language programs with Samir and Jessica. You all are coming to us from 2 different areas in the United States, and I'm coming from North Carolina, but I would love to just start off by hearing from each one of you a little bit more about who you are and what do you do in Arabic language education. Should we start with Jessica?
Oh, sure. Thank you. It's so nice to be here with both of you. So I was a Japanese teacher for the first 20 years of my career. And then I came to New Haven Public Schools in Connecticut in 2013 as a supervisor. And I was so lucky that when I arrived in New Haven, there were already some Arabic programs started in the schools. And those had been started through the Foreign Language Assistance Program grants that ran in the 90s and 2000s. And then over the years, I've got a relationship going with QFI, and they have been super supportive. So we've been able to add a number of Arabic programs since then, and now we have kindergarten through 12th grade programs in different schools. So it's been a terrific experience so far, and I've learned a lot along the way.
I bet we'll get into that as we continue the conversation. Samir, how did you become an Arabic teacher, then become an Arabic program administrator, building up your own program?
Thank you, Ustaza Caroline. So my name is Samir Gibrial, and I am from Alexandria, Egypt. I start teaching Arabic with a TCLB, Teachers of Critical Language, and I got to spend 2 weeks at Washington, D.C. for an orientation. Then I flew to Utah, Salt Lake City. Then I went home. Then all of a sudden, the whole family immigrated with a lottery to USA.
Wow.
I chose Delaware. Then I was working at the University of Delaware teaching ESL. Then somebody said there is a high school offering Arabic. They need an Arabic teacher. And being qualified, have the credentials to teach Arabic, I went over there. It looks like another teacher started the program for like 6 months or so. And for some reason, he left. Then I took over the program since day one. I was reaching out to families and students to tell them why should you learn Arabic, like a little pamphlet, why should you learn Arabic? And there's a lot of reasons, and I set up the Arabic club also. So I'm teaching 4 levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4, starting from 9th grade till 12th grade. So the requirement in my school is 2 years, but a lot of them choose to stay 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So you're in Delaware and you're in Connecticut. Can you all tell me, well, and I'm in North Carolina. I want to be part of this conversation too. My background is in elementary immersion, and I work some with high school immersion as well down in Texas. So very different part of the nation as well from you all. Can you tell me a little bit more about how long your programs have been going on? And
So I started this job as the only Arabic teacher in Delaware, the high school teacher. The name of the school is Caesar Rodney High School in Camden, Delaware, and it's the only high school in the area. So, and the Caesar Rodney High School offers 7 languages. So to motivate or to attract the students to take Arabic is not easy, honestly.
it's a big deal.
It is. So, thanks to my wife, she makes beautiful baklava. And we start the Arabic club, and we start with attracting with food. Come for free Egyptian food. We did a lot. Like having the Arabic club helps a lot, honestly. So the students tell their friends, there's an Ostaz and he's teaching Arabic and he is so and so. So I start to get more numbers in the following years. And as I said before, I'm teaching 4 levels. I'm the one who's responsible for the curriculum. I'm the one who does the midterm exams, final exams. So pretty much it's one-man show. So and also I'm coaching track and field and soccer. Being a coach, you deal with the students in a different level. So they come closer to you, they talk to you, and what language do you take? I'm taking Spanish. Oh, so you take the regular language. What do you mean by regular language? Man, you should challenge yourself. Why don't you try Arabic? No, Arabic is really hard.
I love that. So you're
Yeah.
you're recruiting from the athletes.
Yeah. So, no, it's not hard. That's a stereotype. Who told you Arabic is hard? Just why don't you try? If you don't try, you can switch. So that's how I start, from day one, mindset, I need more students. And having QFI as a sponsor for the grant last year and invite the middle schoolers to come and see the high school. So that helps a lot.
It probably creates that excitement
Yes.
before they even come to the high school.
Food talks.
Food definitely talks. That's wonderful. Do you know about how many students are in your program? I'm just curious.
So I'm not exactly know the number. Give or take, I have 90
That's
students.
wonderful. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, so you said 2012, and Jessica, I remember you mentioning in 2013. Was that when you moved up to?
That's when I came to New Haven as a supervisor. So some of the Arabic programs were already in place. So I want to say they were probably started around 2009.
Wow.
At least with those grant programs by my predecessor, who was really a visionary in that area. And some teachers in my district who were just committed, and they did, the Arabic festivals and the different things on their own before we started. And even back then, I think before I came, they started to reach out to QFI and start to get a little bit of funding for different things. And so they had already started thinking about how to expand the program. So it has been a sort of grassroots thing by all the teachers doing all kinds of work. It hasn't just been me at all by myself. So over time, we've been really lucky. What would happen is we would have Arabic teachers who we were onboarding as being part-timers. And so we were able to kind of finance that either on our own or through QFI. We would have them working for us on grants. And then over the summer, when we couldn't fill a position, like, for example, a Spanish position, and there wasn't enough teachers, I would say to the principal, well, how about Arabic? And they would say, that's fine as long as it's a good teacher. And I would say, well, we already know this teacher. And so we were just very lucky that every single time QFI funded a teacher for us as the first year or two, we were able to slide them into regular, what we call general funds on the city side, paying for those programs. So that's how we've added people over time. And this past year, we added 2 new Arabic high school teachers into full-time positions that we're, paying for on our side, which is great because that means that their jobs are a little bit more stable and that, we plan to continue those programs. So we have 10 teachers now. I was trying to think. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's probably quite in the 2,000 range because we have whole sort of K through 4 programs also being taught, and in those programs we've got 300 kids each type of thing. So it could be getting up in the 2,000, 2,500 range now, which is pretty terrific. And New Haven has Arabic spoken by a number of the residents, so we're a sanctuary city, and we have quite a few Arabic speakers. We have quite a few Pashto speakers, and so it really is a perfect place for us to have these programs also. It supports the heritage language.
10 teachers from elementary to high school.
Right.
The buildings, how far from each other, like as a district?
We have 40 schools total
40 schools.
in New Haven, and we have about almost 20,000 students, between 19 and 20,000 students. So we have a lot of schools. Our elementaries and middles are K through 8. So I have elementary, so I have 2 elementary teachers, 2 middle school teachers, and so 6 high school teachers.
It's okay. This is not a quiz.
No, wait. I have 1 more middle school I forgot. So 5 middle school
awesome.
teachers and 5 high school teachers, yes.
That's wonderful. So I'm curious to hear from the both of you all, and maybe I can chime in a little bit to working at the Arabic Immersion Magnet School in Houston, Texas. What do you all think it takes to create a sustainable Arabic language program? Like, if we're making a really, really good soup and we're going to freeze half this soup and it's going to last us for years and years and years, what are all the different elements? Because I heard you, Ustaz Samir, mention, well, I was a really qualified teacher. And then you spoke about having the support of your wife and her making the most amazing baklawe and bringing it. And then I've heard you also talking about having access to really great qualified teachers, and then some members of the community who were interested, an administrator who was open to adding Arabic. So I'm curious, maybe we can start with you, Jessica. What are the elements that we need?
I think you've already touched upon, to me, the number one non-negotiable is the teacher has to be great. And I don't think they need to be certified walking in the door. Like, we've done a lot of onboarding. In fact, all the teachers I have working in New Haven now went through our accelerated route to certification program, and we supported them through that. So they were able to go through that while they taught for us. But you need someone who can support them too. You can't just stick them in the classroom and be like, good luck. So I'm lucky that, not every school district has a world language supervisor. So I'm lucky that part of my job is to do that work. And I think that is absolutely number one, because the truth is, if a school is going to cut a program in any language, What matters most is if the program is a strong teacher and the kids love it and there's success in what the kids are learning, that will be the last program to get cut. But if it is not a successful program and the kids aren't learning and there's principals getting called down to the office, every day, that's the first program to be cut. So to me, that's number one. And everything else comes after that.
Okay, so that's number one. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more with Jessica. Exactly. You need the personality of a good teacher. I'm not going to say I am a good teacher because I have a great world language department. They are awesome. The relationship between us, like I call the Chinese teacher sis, and she called me brother, and the principal is just a great help for me. We used to have a previous principal. She was amazing. Her name was Dr. Kioski, and right now we have a great principal. But back to the personality of the teacher. I'm someone who believes if the students loves you as a person, they will listen to you. You cannot fake it with the high school student. You cannot. Either you are all in, you are all out.
You can't with college students either. They see right through it. Yeah.
So once the student believe you care and you genuinely care about them, and there's always an orientation, why should I learn Arabic? So it takes a lot of persistent and be consistent too. So what do you want? At the end of the day, you need your program to continue or not. It's up to you. I see some teachers got frustrated from trivial matters, write up students. How many students did I write in since 2012? I do not believe in writing students. Once I write a student up, this means the control is not in my hand. The relation is broke.
Relationship, the trust is lost.
I deal with them. I have 3 children. I deal with the students as if they are and they feel it as if they are my children. So, and I extend my grace, and I believe in giving them chances, and I stay late after school if they need help, come early in the morning to, if you have a question, we have this kind of Schoology. It's a platform. You can text me on Schoology, and maybe 10 p.m. I'm not supposed to work, but I can respond at 10 p.m. I love my students. They are great. And I have students graduated from great colleges like Columbia and Princeton. My daughter she graduated from high schools, and she continues studying Arabic at Princeton, and right now she's a graduate from Princeton.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, well, when I did teach first and second grade immersion, I didn't always have kind of the insight on the administrative end of things for how they got stuff done, but I really felt the support and the investment from the parents. And at the Arabic Immersion Magnet School, we definitely did have a percentage of the students who came from Arabic speaking or Arabic background community in Houston, but the majority of the school actually didn't. And, I think, and this is a follow-up question for later, what are the motivations that students and then also their families, especially when the students are younger, what are those motivations that the students and the families have to come and study Arabic? And so at AIMS, the Arabic Immersion Magnet School, the parents were so intentional about entering the lottery to get into that magnet school. And they were driving from all around Houston, which I don't want to say it has more traffic than DC where we're filming the podcast, but it has a lot of traffic. And, it didn't matter what their background was. They were just totally committed to. The parents would ask me actually if I would make little videos and send the videos out for the parents for how to pronounce the spelling words so that the parents could watch the videos and then learn the spelling words along with their first graders and then quiz their first graders in the spelling words, So parents were really like front line of what I saw show up, I would say, after the teachers because, Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Are there any other elements that we think we're missing? Or
I just want to add that first of all, I love what you said, Samir, about loving the students. I often tell my teachers that level 1 and and even level 2 are just for getting these kids to fall in love with whatever language we're teaching. And then we can, if they stay to level 3, we'll give them the much harder stuff then. But, really, I don't want them badgering them with, nobody should be getting Fs in level 1 is sort of my thinking, unless they're really, not doing a single thing, but if they're trying at all. But I wanted to say that, when you talk about that, it's almost, I'm sort of a little bit jealous because that is actually not how our programs work, because our kids will often, go to the school and then they have these range of language choices, and sometimes they may or may not have chosen Arabic, especially because if we've switched the language at that school. But what we've been really lucky about is that if they love the teacher, again, back to that, right? So then it even becomes more important that the teacher is like Samir and makes the kids fall in love with them. And then they love Arabic. So if they love the teacher, so we've got these elementary programs where the kids absolutely are in love with their teachers, and now they feel this kinship toward, Arab countries, which I think is really beautiful, even though they might not have chosen it, if you gave them a range of choices, which is great.
Yeah, I think helping students along that journey and their families as well, because I do, I teach older learners now, and I used to teach younger learners, but I actually got an email from one of my college students' parents the other day, and I think they looked me up online because they don't just have my email, but they were just checking in on their student and telling me how excited they were that their student is going to travel to an Arabic-speaking country this summer and continue studying. And but helping them find the value in learning Arabic. Samir, you mentioned there's all these different motivations and reasons for why students are studying Arabic. And I'm kind of curious, how do you all think we can have those conversations with the students and their families to kind of tap into what different people's motivations might be?
So I'm going to share something really cool, because in our district, we do 3 times a year something called inviting 8th grades. We call it 8th grade night. The first 2 nights, you just come, see what the high school offer. And the third time is when they actually enroll and get their own schedule for the coming year. So if I am the one who teaching Arabic, stood up and just say Arabic is great, you should know. What I'm doing is getting my students who actually learn with me in the class to advocate for the program. So I have 2 tables, one with the Arabic Club t-shirt and some, this papyrus from Egypt and some little gifts. And then when each parent, like dad or mom, bring his 8th grade kid, and I am not saying anything. The only thing I'm doing, I'm saying, what's your names? And he say, my name is Jack or whatever. I said, would you like me to write your name in Arabic?
I love
Said,
that.
oh, yeah. Then I started writing his name from right to left. By this, I attract his attention. Once I wrote his name or her name in a piece of paper with a good handwriting, colorful marker, give it back to him, and my students start just to talk to him. In Arabic, it's gonna open a lot of doors for you. I know, I used to have a friend in Arabic 4. Right now, she studies at Columbia. So when the students hear from students, it makes more. They motivate them more than the teacher. What's he gonna say? He's gonna say, "Wow, I'm good." But learning, hearing from students is a big deal. It tells them a message. Yes, Arabic is for everybody, and it eliminates the stereotype, because the student is saying Arabic is okay, you can study, not the teacher. So that's something I would like to stress. Let the students do the work under your leadership.
I love that. I'm going to be using that more as I'm recruiting for my Arabic debate course this next year.
You have to give me some money for this.
Yeah. Under the table, تحت الطاولة.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense. And sometimes I think that there's things that we're doing on one level of education that we kind of forget works on all levels of education. I used to do things like that all of the time with my elementary schoolers. They always loved to present all of the things that they were doing and be really proud of them and show it off. And then the kindergartners would see what they were doing in Annie Soda Robinson's class, and we would invite the kindergartners in to come do like reading buddies. And so I could get my first graders to work on their reading by partnering up. But I have not yet done it with the college students. So UNC Chapel Hill students, if you're listening to this, I'm telling you my plan. I'm coming for you. What about you all? What are some of the motivations for students wanting to study Arabic beyond knowing that there's this wonderful teacher and maybe having an older sibling who studied the language?
Right. So we've been lucky to do some sort of similar events where in our big high schools where we offer Arabic, we hold Arabic festivals every year, and those have been supported by QFI. And when we have those, we have booths set up where all the students do different displays and henna and serve mint tea and, photo booths with beautiful backdrops and things like that. So that I think does a lot of great advertising. They invite the whole school. So the whole school sees it. So even if a student is, in another language, they might think, oh, I'd like to add Arabic. Or at the very least, it just gives them a feeling of Arabic that they didn't have before. So that's really, those have been really great for us. We've also been lucky to, use Natakalam for our, in the summer especially, and sometimes during the school year when we had students who were really interested in Arabic and really interested in achieving the seal of biliteracy, which is an award they can get for their language skills. Those kids went on in the evening and did conversation practice through that. And I think that when other kids heard about that, they were pretty impressed because they were actually talking to refugees in different places in the world through that Natakalam Foundation, and QFI supports them as well, I believe, and helped us with that. So, those kinds of things also intrigue the kids. We have a set of students who really love language learning and will pursue it in that way and, go above and beyond. And I think that other kids hearing about that helps as well. Our goal would be eventually to have some kind of a trip, of course, to somewhere. I mean, that's the ultimate. Once you do that, then you really get a lot of kids excited. So that would be a future goal of ours.
Yeah. So I know that we have been talking about all of the bright and beautiful and flowery and sweet like baklawa things, about our students and our programs. And also something that's constantly on my mind is, okay, I need to recruit because there's fewer students in the program now than I was actually an undergraduate majoring in the program that I teach in now. And so back in 2008, there were more classes, there were more teachers, there was a stronger, larger program. And so that's one of my goals, to really build the program back up and have it be really sustainable and strong. We know that all languages in the United States are, seeing less and less enrollment, and that's happening for a bunch of different reasons. But I'm curious, along your journeys, what challenges have you all faced, and have you been able to overcome the challenges, or have you just kind of had to work with what you have, and be grateful for that? Yeah. Challenges.
So, for sure, there is
a very competitive Spanish teacher, maybe.
So there were a lot, not a lot. For me, there was some challenges. One of the challenges is the teacher who do the scheduling all over the school. Sometimes there's a contradiction between a student would love to take Arabic 1 with Mr. G, but this math class it's a requirement. So I reach out to Mr. Lopez. He's a great teacher. And I said, no, can you accommodate this? And he does accommodate a lot of this. And also some of the challenges are parents, if they are not what are you going to do with Arabic? So you need to be you need to have creative ways to send a message to, because the ultimate decision is not for the coming 8th grader. That's true. Let's be true. The dad or moms, you're going to sign them for the language. Yes, you're going to ask them, but the ultimate decision comes from them. So one thing actually I consider remove some of the challenges is we call Rider Pride Day. During this Rider Pride Day, we move all the high school teachers and students move around. It's just something culture was camped in Delaware. So what I did, I get customs from the Middle East to represent Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and we dressed like all the students,
like
and authentic
clothing.
And myself, I was a pharaoh, and my wife was dressing like Cleopatra. My 2 daughters were dressing up, and we got a lot of candy, bags of candy, just to throw on the streets to the students. And we got a banner. This banner is called the Arabic Club of Caesar Rodney High School. I remember doing this, let a lot of parents just. There is an Arabic language in the high school, and sometimes it's ridiculous. Some students say, "What is Arabic?" Like the coming 8th grade, they do not know even the existence of a language. It's called Arabic. So this kind, if you get all in with those kinds of events, you can remove some challenges. But I think there's always going to be a challenge. But you're willing to continue, and you're willing to defy those challenges. That's the continuation of your program. Once you said, what can I do? No, you shouldn't say this. No, you can do a lot. Well, just be creative. And right now I'm planning to visit all middle schools in the district to promote I got another grant from QFI. That's why maybe this big reason I am here right now. They help a lot. So with this grant, I'm going to visit all middle schools. I'm going to send some flyers home. And I have really good relationship with the secretary staff in the high school. Everybody got an Arabic T-shirt, and they like the program. Whenever we do food, we have a lot of food. Why not? Let everybody to be happy. Try this authentic food. So they know Mr. G is a guy who get us good food.
Yeah.
And they helped me. I am so grateful to Caesar Rodney High School staff and faculty. I cannot do it by myself if it's not for them.
It sounds like you've created just, number one, a lot of visibility, showing up and being so proud of your Egyptian cultural heritage. Al-Fara'oon.
Yep.
I always joke with my Egyptian friends, are like, we're not Arab, we're Fara'oon, like we are the pharaohs. But it sounds like whatever maybe hesitancy possibly, or stereotypes or uncertainty, you've just really come in with this very positive visibility to say, this is who we are.
Yes.
And I do think that that's very creative. So it sounds like you have a very supportive school district. You work for your school district, and you're very supportive of your Arabic language programs. I am remembering HISD being very supportive of our school in Houston. I'm wondering, have you all, in being very successful in building up these strong, very positive programs, have you had conversations with colleagues, or probably a lot of people listening, saying, well, I'm a qualified teacher, there's a lot of students in my district who are interested, but my district isn't interested, or they're closed? Would you all have maybe any advice for those people, or do you have friends or colleagues who you've talked to who have been in that scenario? Because I know that's a real challenge.
Yeah. Well, I'm so lucky that, New Haven has been very supportive of adding multiple languages, because, we are a pretty multilingual district to begin with. So people are believe in different languages as an asset in our district. But I would say to those people, the first thing you have to figure out is, if you feel that they're closed to starting an Arabic program, you have to figure out why they're saying that. There's a million reasons why they could be saying it. It could just be a funding issue. And if it's merely a funding issue, then obviously you might want to look into applying for grants the way we have. Or it's maybe some other issue because, there's just, I've been in central office now since, for 11 years, and I've learned that sometimes you need to say no from the central office level, but it's not because you don't believe in it or you wouldn't want to make it happen, but sometimes there are certain deadlines or certain grants have closed already for this year or whatnot. Someone asked me the other day, why can't I have some money for an Arabic festival at mine? And I'm like, well, that we would have had to ask for it last year, So there's sometimes it seems like people are saying no, but they're really just saying, I just can't manage all that right now. Because you also have to realize that when these grants come through at the district level, there's a lot that has to get done, So it's not just. I think sometimes people think like, oh, you just get the money and go. And that's actually not how it works. You have to go through all kinds of paperwork at your district level to receive the money. And even to apply for the money in our district, we have to tell our Board of Education that we're doing that, and who have also been very supportive, luckily for us. But, I think first find out why, and then you can attack the why in the nicest way. You can think, okay.
Attack the why.
Attack the why. Why are they saying no? Okay, now let me figure out the solutions to convincing them, to say yes. I think that's the real key. It could be that they think the parents won't like it. So maybe you start with, grassroots with the parents. It could be that they think the kids won't like it. So maybe you ask permission to go in and do a couple of demo lessons in the classes. There's always sort of a gentle way to go about it. But the stomp your feet and say, you have to start this is never going to work.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I definitely hear that. Do you have any ideas?
So I totally agree with Jessica. Like, for example, I'm going to focus on grant. A grant is not going to write itself. You are a teacher. I'm coaching. I'm a teacher. I'm a dad. But after 12 midnight, the two grants.
You're a grant writer. After 12 midnight.
Yes, that everybody's quiet. And it takes time. And you need to figure out the budget. You need to visualize everything you're going to do in advance. What exactly is the station I'm going to have, like the henna station? Or like actually the last grant, I decided to do at the Rabuka station. The Rabuka station, you have to, the Rabuka.
Darbuka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to learn how to teach myself.
You have to teach yourself darbuka.
The book. So this kind of things, back to what do you want? Do you want your program to succeed or not? So there's two kind of human beings, those who try to find excuses and those who would like to find solutions. Who are you? You would like we are all sometimes get tired, but there's nothing easy.
Yeah.
You have to work hard.
If I could just piggyback, I just, when I taught Japanese for, 20 years before this, and that program is still there, and we used to talk a lot. Japanese was kind of the precursor to even Chinese. Like, Japanese was the cool language for a few years there when the Foreign Language Assistance Program grant started. And, that was hard to keep a program going all those years in those days. Plenty of times they talked about cutting it and whatnot. And the thing we always used to talk about with teachers in terms of advocacy was it's 20% of your job. We're not math. You're not going to have a job for sure no matter what. If you're like an elementary language especially, but any language really, you have to do advocacy as part of your job. And that's just how it is. You can't just think that you're going to just close your door and teach how you want and the program will be fine. It's just not how it goes. You have to make traditions like festivals, events, field trips to countries, whatever it takes, but all the things you do.
Being patient is a key.
Yeah, at the college level, well, you mentioned darbuka and applying for grants, and I've been trying to be very creative as well, because especially coming through COVID, it was just enough to get students to show up to class in person after COVID, and so the thought of, and I think probably all of us felt quite a bit of fatigue, like social fatigue, much more quickly of, oh my gosh, I've been invited to 3 things outside my home this week. Can I go to all 3 of them? But now that, alhamdulillah, we're finally back to a place where I think people feel more a sense of like a normal social routine, we will invite, it's virtual, and still, I think virtual and in person, if you can make those real connections for those experiences for students to have of, hey, guess what? Today, guys, we're not practicing vocabulary or grammar. We're doing darbuka in class on the table. And I am also, before April 16th, I'm going to have to teach myself some darbuka at home as well. Maybe you should jump on that,
Yeah, right.
too. Yeah, but, and then looking externally for grants as well, because I have a very supportive department, and my department very lovingly tells me, we have no money for you to do additional things. We have money to pay you to teach.
Yes.
And it's interesting you said 80-20, because my work breakdown is 80% teaching and 20%, they call it service.
Interesting.
And it was the first time that I had ever really heard that breakdown, because I had never heard it when I taught in elementary and high.
They certainly don't say it in public school to us.
Right. Well, yeah, because it's 180% of your time. But it was interesting to consider it that way, because it's actually the university's way of acknowledging that we are doing this advocacy and service, be it to our own language classrooms, be it, you know, like I'm in the Department of Asian and Middle Eastern Studies, so we have everything from China to Morocco in our department. And so lots of times we do trainings for the other teachers, and you mentioned being really close with your Chinese teacher. But yeah, you know, it does feel good to have that recognized, that our jobs are part advocacy. I consider this podcast a part of that advocacy. I mean, really amplifying the value of learning and teaching Arabic. I am curious to ask you all another question. It's a little bit of a hot topic, and we'll be going into much more depth in this topic in a later podcast episode. But I've had it mentioned to me before that, you know, to build a strong Arabic language program, this one type of Arabic has to be taught. And I'm curious if you all have encountered that question of, there is one specific type of Arabic, and it is this that must be taught to create that sustainable language program. I don't know who to start with. You all just jump in.
Well, I have a range of teachers. Like, I actually have probably most of my teachers are from Egypt, and then I have teachers from Palestine, Morocco, and Sudan. So I have a mix. Oh, in Lebanon. And so I have a mix. And we've never had that exact conversation where any one of them has never claimed that needs to be the case. It's more me experiencing working with each of them and then being told by the next one that, you know, so I'll be excited because I've spent, you know, an hour helping one of them make slides for a particular lesson. And then I'll think, oh, good, that's done. And I'll go to show the other one and I'll be like, look, these slides are all done. You can just use them. They're like, no, this transliteration's all wrong. Or these words are all wrong. And I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, wait, aren't you both Arabic teachers? Like very qualified, wonderful Arabic teachers? How is this wrong?
So, and I can clearly remember years ago at ACTFL, I went to a session where people were talking about standard Arabic and some, you know, and I didn't really know what was going on then, but I was trying to learn because I just came to New Haven, and there was a lot of, you know, heated discussion about this topic. And so I've started realizing that if I'm going to have this mix of teachers, especially K to 8, and I really want this to be like a K through 12 continuum for the kids, it's essential that we figure out what we're going to do, especially for, I don't mind, you know, we deal with that in Spanish. I have 30 countries represented in my Spanish teachers as well, but it's more of like words here and there. But in terms of like transliteration and things like that, we have to figure out because it's very difficult for the kids to go from a teacher who spells something one way to another way or completely different sets of words. So I'm just curious. I'm actually curious to hear what all of you have for advice for me.
So before I answer these questions, so your question is, you are curious which dialect or which we teach in Arabic. So
which form
look
of
at this.
Arabic?
If I can see, أنا أعمل بدي أنا بشتغل
بدي أشتغل.
بدي أشتغل.
This is I work. Yeah.
So as in my school, like I do expose the students to the three dialects. The Egyptian being biased because I am from Egypt, of course, and the standard then come the Levantine. There's a lot of students like I had three students from the same family, Nader, Mariam, and Zuzu. They are Lebanese. They are awesome. I love them so hard, and I always I always joke with all of them. Like all of them graduated from the high school, but like say, منيح. Like say I'm fine. Like if somebody say كيفك, say منيح. That's not a language, Nader. No, Mr. G, no, that's a good language. So we try to let the students actually. So I did use Al-Kitab for some time. So it just divide all the three dialects, and so the students hear or the listening exercise and are they hearing the three languages. If it's up to my son, he's a junior at the same high school, he would love to just learn Egyptian because it's easy for him. But for me, I can do 50% standard, more than 50% standard, because that's the language of the exam or then they know the dialect. So I do, but nobody asked me which one should I do. It's not a big deal, but I tend to focus more on standard, MSA, Al-Fusha. So because say I travel to Lebanon or Egypt, or everybody's going to understand Fusha. But say if I focus in one dialect, it's hard. Especially I am a high school teacher.
Area,
but if you are a college student, you are free to choose whatever you like. You can specialize just in Egyptian or so
I think I used to think I had kind of a controversial opinion about it, but now I don't think it's controversial anymore. I remember when I was teaching in elementary, it being such a holdup between the teachers, and we were at Ames, we were adding a grade every year. It started K1 and then K2, K3, and a couple of years ago they finally hit K8, and they were, we were developing curriculum as we were doing it, and then developing assessments, and we were building a plane and flying it pretty well at the same time. But there was always just this holdup of, okay, is it dialect? Is it standard? What is it? And now that I think I've backed out of it a little bit and connected a lot more with teachers, across the K-16 curriculum, I think about two things. Number one, how is the Arabic language in the real world?
Great question.
And in the real world, it's a blend.
Yes.
It's a blend, You have to be, you have to be flexible.
Yes,
you have to be flexible.
Yes.
And then something I've started reflecting on a lot, especially coming through COVID, is we're really seeing this younger generation of students very driven by passions and interests. And all of a sudden I have some students where if I'm teaching a lesson about Ahwa Arabiya, like coffee culture, and they don't drink coffee, they're like, they're like, whatever. They just don't care. And I'm like, oh, shoot. I have some students who don't drink coffee in my room. So now I'm like, so there's this engagement piece. And so now when I start my semesters, one of the first questions I teach them how to answer is, what do you like to drink? And is it water, juice, soda, because we can just say whatever the name of the soda is, or coffee. So I give them a couple of options, and at the very least, someone will drink water, right? Because I'm seeing that if lessons are not reflecting a piece of the learner, and you guys both talked about this, really building that relationship of connection and trust in humanity, if that's not part of the teaching piece, if it's not connected to their interests, they're just going to check out. And so, that's something I think quite a bit about.
I think you're right. I think you're both right. But at the same time, my fear, and I don't know that it would happen, but the worst thing possible would be for a kid to have learned Arabic K6 through 8, K to 8 or 6 through 8, and then go to a high school teacher and have the high school teacher say, that was wrong. Because then we lose the programs, and so I do think there's like a balance there. If you have a articulation that you need to do, where there needs to be, but some sort of a like agreement between the teachers of what the common vocabulary everyone's going to know, and then what we do in Spanish is we have common vocabulary we agree on, and then we add the extras. So like the word for school bus is different in different countries, so everybody teaches one, and then they add the extras to show the kids those differences.
Is it autobus?
There's autobus, and then there's
There we go.
and then there's guagua.
Oh, yeah.
Hafila.
Yeah, there's different ones. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway,
Egyptian is it?
it's such an interesting conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do have one more question, because I am at the college level now, and you. Ahlan wa sahlan to your students at Jamaat North Carolina. We would love to host them in the Arabic language. I know Princeton and Harvard were mentioned. North Carolina is also up there. Okay, little plug for UNC. And you obviously work, K through 12. I've been seeing students matriculate in from our handful of lovely high school programs that we have, and they really struggle. They really struggle. And I serve as the coordinator for the North Carolina Arabic Teacher Council, and we're constantly trying to have these discussions about how can we get alignment, right? Even if it's not K all the way to 16 alignment, how can we just get some communication between the high school teachers and the college teachers? Because it is so, I can't tell y'all how many conversations I've had where I just have to be like the counselor and the cheerleader for those students coming from high school to college, because they feel what you talked about. They're not being told it's wrong, but they had this amazing high school teacher, Ustaz G, and they have all this love for Arabic, and then they come to this college program and it's different in different ways. And so I'm curious, from the high school teacher perspective, from the whole K-16, let's create lifelong language learners perspective, how do you think we can work to better that transition?
One thing I did when I started teaching Arabic at the high school, I reached out to Dr. Ikram al-Masmoudi and her brother Khalil al-Masmoudi. They are teaching Arabic at the University of Delaware. So I know exactly what is the curriculum. I did my research and I reached out. I would like to get my students as a field trip to the college, because because eventually most of them they're going to go to college. So the University of Delaware going to open the arms for them, so they are not going to feel strangers. So nobody's going to say what Mr. G taught you, that's wrong, because I already invite you guys. You already came, give a presentation. So relationships. I'm not going to say this all over the states, at least in my state. So I know exactly what's been taught in the university level. So I would like to, it's going to be an extension of what the foundation I started in the high school. So they are not going to be like a lot of contradiction. So that's something back to something you mentioned about know your students. I like how you said know the culture, because back in Utah, a lot of my students do not drink coffee too. Salt Lake City. And you mentioned Ames. That's the name of the school I used to teach at Utah. Ames is Academy of Math, Engineering, and Science.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
I'm sure that's a different Ames.
Ours was Arabic Immersion Magnet School.
Okay. So
And we would call it Ahdaf, which
Ahdaf,
means
so-
goals or aims.
So
in
you
Arabic.
did not
That's
teach
nice.
in my school.
No, but that would have made sense if we had taught in the same school.
So invest sometimes at the beginning of the year to know the background of your students. That's going to help you a lot. When students find some of their backgrounds implemented in the curriculum, and they're going to be really so happy. Like I mentioned, some Lebanese, some Syrian, and how about those 100% Americans? They have no background about the Arab countries. So see if they are come from Haiti, they are coming from some kind of Cinco de Mayo, but they did not study Spanish right now, but we can incorporate الخامس من مايو in your,
the
so
5th
they
of May.
they will feel respected and they will feel happy. So I like how you mentioned know your students.
I do a lot of students who take one language at college, not all of them, tend to have also taken another language or will take another. And because French and Spanish are so popular, at least at UNC, I do a lot of, showing students videos of what's the crossover between the language. What are the shared words? What's the shared history? What's the shared culture? What are, and there will be all of these little challenges on the internet for like, how do you say sugar in Spanish?
Right. Sucre. And there's,
and sucre and stuff like that. And that seems to kind of really draw them in when they can see the connections.
Yeah, pantalones.
But pantalones.
Yeah. QFI has a poster of it, I think,
I recall. There's a whole dictionary of terms. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
If you don't mind, I'm going to go back to that question you asked because it's a really good one, and it's sort of like the key question of our field. Especially the less commonly taught languages, has struggled with this. For years, the Japanese teachers struggled with it. I know the Chinese teachers are talking about it. Everyone struggles with high school to college articulation. And I think one of the things that has the potential to solve it is the seal of biliteracy, because that if a student comes to you with the seal of biliteracy in Arabic, that means that they have been tested in listening, speaking, reading, and writing by a standardized test, either from Language Testing International, like the Apple, or Avant, the Stamp, so those are things that are proficiency-based tests. And the issue is, though, that we're
not recognizing them.
Right. We can't allow those kids to reach that level and then not have it be recognized in the college. So really, we have to meet halfway. Like the universities have to understand that you can't give them a grammar-based placement test and think that really is their true proficiency level, because we know from years of research that is not representative of what they can do in the real world. And so it's sort of a thing where we all have to meet in the middle. So we have work to do as a field, both, so ACTFL, I know we've been sort of working with MLA to kind of talk about the seal and talk about proficiency and things like that. But as a field, we have work to do in that articulation piece. But each of the language organizations can help by kind of having that conversation. And I think to your questions earlier about the future too, things are changing fast, and the kids might not need a lot of those skills that we're clinging to right now. If we're clinging to a lot of reading and writing, if we're clinging to a lot of grammar things, translation devices are going to do a lot of those things. So we really need to be producing kids who are intermediate, mid, or better speakers at the very least, and can probably read quickly. But, a lot of the things that we all grew up having to, or maybe us, I don't know about you, but all the things that we grew up.
I looked everything up in an encyclopedia.
Right, okay. With the paper dictionaries,
Wikipedia didn't happen for me until
things, I know we have to have some serious conversations in our field about how to continue even the role of language teachers as things are changing quickly. And we need to keep these kids, like we said many times, in love with the languages, with the language and culture, because that is what will keep them studying.
Coming back, the lifelong language learner.
Yeah.
If you all had any piece of advice for a teacher or a community member or an administrator out there, inshallah, listening to this episode, and they want to start an Arabic language program, what advice would you give to them for where to start?
So I will start with, if I would like to give advice to a teacher, a parent, or a principal about the importance, the value of having an Arabic program in your community. Language builds bridges between cultures. Language encourages the mutual, because when you teach a language, you not teach a language, you teach a culture, pretty much. So go for it. That's gonna add a lot of flavor to your community. That's gonna, I'm sure everywhere you're gonna find some families from the Middle East or even the Americans. I live in Dover, like Camden, Delaware. We have this, we have a base. A lot of students go with ROTCs. You're going to be in military. So, and Arabic is a critical language. What do I mean by a critical language? It's just one of the top 5 or 6 languages with the United Nations. So imagine that's for a parent. Imagine your son or daughter learn this critical language. How many doors will open to you? And to the principal, like how many other families you're going to attract to your school. Like you can have a school choice, so you're going to open not just a lot of doors for the learners themselves, for yourself, for the school itself. And something I would like to stress on, language inside the classroom is not 100%. You need to spend more, you need to love the language and take it from there. You guys, students, live in the age of technology. You are lucky. You are not buying a dictionary or borrow a dictionary to write it with your hand like we used to did back there. You can say, hey Siri, what is the meaning of so and so? And Siri is so nice and cute and I'm gonna answer you. So
I think you so beautifully captured all the reasons why Arabic is a beautiful language to learn and why it's an important language to learn for national security as well. So I'm gonna go to the more sort of practical, boring side of your question and say that if you're thinking about starting a program, especially if you're not at the administrator level. So for administrators, it's different because they kind of already know some of the things that would need to happen to make it happen, right? But if you're a parent or a teacher who just wants to go into a school and start it, you're not in yet, I think some of the key things you need to do are understand the politics of the district. So most Board of Education or local school board meetings are televised. You can watch those. You can figure out who might be interested in international discussions in talking about language learning and talking about, who supports the sort of international field trips, things like that. That might be a board member who you could approach, or you might find that the PTO is particularly your parent-teacher organization is particularly supportive or not supportive, or it could be that the World Language Department is where you can start, or it might not be because maybe they're sensitive to having more languages as a competition. So I really think you need to spend your time sort of figuring things out, figuring where could be the best entry point, and then you have to get your ducks in a row, as you say, as we say, you have to have a plan. When you do go into administration and suggest it and say, here's how you could start it cheaply, here's a grant we could apply for and I could help with this. It really has to, because administrators nowadays are very overwhelmed and busy, just like just like teachers, right? Everyone in education. And they're just not going to listen if we just march in and say, this is what I think you should do. Yeah. Right. And why don't you have this yet? Or, not that anyone would, but you know what I mean? Yeah. You really have to go in with the sort of the way Samir is, where he's like, I'm here. I can write grants. I can do these things to keep it going. That's what you want. I hope you'll consider coming to New Haven when you're ready. Okay.
Go and visit the programs in New Haven.
No, I was actually offering him a job, but that's okay.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. Well,
he understood.
Delaware is very lucky to have him. New Haven's very lucky to have you.
Very lucky to have him.
Yes, I think, well, you all have said so much. And the only other piece I would add to this, and it's something that I've learned in trying to build up the North Carolina Arabic Teacher Council, is that I've learned so much from other language educators who have not only come before me as Arabic language educators, but also, our Chinese Arabic Teacher Council, our Alliance Française, our Spanish. So every year I go to our Foreign Languages Across North Carolina conference. It's like our little mini actful. And I just focus that entire time on connecting and learning how other teachers who have built new programs, dual language immersion programs, summer programs, gotten grants, done all of these things, that those are my pie in the sky dreams and vision for our teachers in North Carolina. And I asked them if they're willing to share with me from their experience, if they're willing to share names of grants, even though we might be competing for them. And I've never had anyone tell me no. They've always been really kind and just really excited that there's another language teacher nerd who's also very excited to advocate for their language in the
Maybe
States.
It's a supportive word. Yeah. No, it's a wonderful field. Like the world language field is the best,
is.
right? The world language field is the best. In terms of piggyback on what you said, if you do go to conferences and if you go to ACTFL and other regional conferences, please go to all other languages, like you were saying, to their sessions, not just for grant advice, but also for instructional advice. That's how I learned everything I know about instruction, is not just going to only, Japanese sessions. I went to Arabic sessions. I went to Spanish sessions. That's really is, like you said, where you can learn a lot from your colleagues, because everybody has something to share. And we can certainly learn from the other languages that, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, we can learn a lot from each other, because a lot of it is the same methods that we have to employ. So, I think that was such a wise thing to do that you've been doing in North Carolina.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. And one more thing I would like to add, do not get discouraged. There will be a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles. That's life. Do not separate yourself from life. So remind yourself, what is your goal? What's your destination would you like to reach? So it's okay to be alive. Life is not rosy. It's not I don't know. That's my belief. Like, you have to get it. Nobody's gonna give it to you. You want it or not. So that's the motivation. Learning a language with those heritage students is a big deal too.
It is a very big deal. Well, thank you guys so much for this conversation. I really hope that it serves and is a great resource for anyone listening to this podcast. I've learned a lot through it, as we are also trying to start more language programs in North Carolina as well. So thank you all so much, Shukran Jazilan, for your time. And
my pleasure.
hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Shukran.